Good morning, Prime Minister. You finally considered, after all these years, you just miss us too much. You can't live without us.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but we have absolutely missed you and we want you to come and see us again. So, you know, distance makes the heart grow fonder. That's definitely the case for us here, I think.
I think, you know, it's such a great feeling to have this established again. The other question is, what took so long?
Well, we want to get it right. You know, I think if you think about when we first started talking about having a Trans-Tasman arrangement, back then we were talking about the test being 28 days free of any case outside of a managed isolation facility. You know, and the time that we've taken to establish this protocol and this arrangement, we've learnt so much. You know, we now believe and know that we can safely manage outbreaks without necessarily having that prolonged month-long period in the aftermath of a case. So time has been of benefit to us. I think we now have a regime that will be flexible but pretty sophisticated. And ultimately, it means now we're in a position to welcome you here and to do it safely, which is what we're also excited about.
We're also thrilled that families are going to be able to get back together.
Yeah.
People have missed the birth of babies, they've missed funerals and birthdays, all sorts of things. But there's also the economic impact. What will it mean to New Zealand, especially the tourism industry, to have us all charging over there?
I think the most important thing you'll hear from Kiwis is just that reunification. You know, while I was standing on the podium behind me yesterday making this announcement, I wouldn't have been off the podium for more than 5 minutes, and a friend sent me a screenshot of her flights to come to New Zealand. And you won't find a Kiwi that won't have a story of someone in Australia that they've missed and they just really want to welcome back. So that is probably the most important thing. But of course, we also miss hosting you. Tourism is important to us as a country. It's part of who we are. Our hospitality is part of who we are. You make up about 40% of our tourism here and about $2.7 billion worth of spend. And so, yes, that is a bonus to us. It is an added bonus, but nothing like the human-to-human contact for us that's so important.
It sounds like there's a bit of emotion in your voice this morning, PM.
I am excited. You know, it's been a long time. I have family and friends in Australia, and I've had some who have had some really devastating situations here in New Zealand that they've been apart from. And so I think for both sides, I know when I called the premiers and said, we're ready, we're going to open, I could hear for them the enthusiasm, because after a hard, long year for you and for us, this is a step back to normal, and I think we all relish those moments.
And you've not shy of coming over here for a holiday yourself. I know you've holidayed in Queensland before. Do you see a lot of Kiwis taking the opportunity to return the favour and come over here and spend some cash?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, we'll have probably a bit of an influx of Kiwis who are usually resident in Australia popping over to see family and friends. But I think what I'd say to anyone who perhaps doesn't have that connection, you know, everyone needs a break. You know, it might just be the need for a change of scene. So come and visit one of our cities and enjoy our food, our drink, our shopping. Or if you just need a bit of R&R, come and visit a wide open space, our nature, our ski fields. Our experiences are incredible. New Zealanders have been relishing that opportunity. We've been doing that ourselves. And our tourism sector have really benefited from Kiwis seeing their own backyard. But we'd love to have Aussies come and join in what we've been doing for the last year.
Can we talk through some of the mechanics of this? How will quarantine travel work, and what does it look like? Because you have said flyer beware. Why?
Yeah. And so I think we all acknowledge that in a COVID environment, just in the same way that anyone in Australia who's travelling between states is prepared for outbreaks and there possibly being disruption, and again, can't believe I'm saying this, give New Zealand as another state in that way. So if there's a hot spot...
Whoa, stop the presses. Stop the presses, New Zealand.
Just for this particular scenario is all I'm saying. So think of it in that way. that if there's a hot spot in one of the states of Australia, we may just act in the same way that another state would, with just limitation of people to come in and out of our borders until that issue is resolved. So we're trying to make it as simple for travellers as possible, but just prepare that there may be disruptions. But what better place in the world to be stuck? Am I right?
Vaccinations.
I'm sorry, I can't come into work. I'm stuck in New Zealand. It's a perfect scenario.
I'm just glad that you called New Zealand another state of Australia. That's a huge admission from a Kiwi PM.
Purely for this exercise.
Okay.
I have to give you a chance to stick up for that. Now, vaccinations, will they play a part in this? I mean, New Zealand and Australia have both been fairly slow compared to other countries in the world in rolling out those vaccines. Will a vaccination passport be something you'll consider for the future, or will we continue with this New Zealand being another state, so to speak?
Well, look, for vaccines, of course, it's not required for travel between New Zealand and Australia, and that's why we've been able to move on it quickly. You know, New Zealand and Australia are in, you know, the very lucky position with a strategy that we've had has meant that, you know, the vaccine for us hasn't been a question of life and death of the same way it has in other parts of the world. So those countries that are working very hard to roll out those vaccines, it's in order to get the freedoms we already have. So I think both sides, we acknowledge that that's why the order of rollout has been different for us. When it comes to a vaccine passport and welcoming people into New Zealand who may have been vaccinated from high-risk countries, we're still waiting for the evidence that demonstrates they won't present risk to New Zealand because, as you'll know, yes, it reduces your symptoms and stops you getting sick, which is exactly what we need. We don't know yet whether or not you'll still be able to contribute to outbreaks. So once we have that data, we'll be able to make those calls.
You have hitched your wagon, interestingly, to the Pfizer jab. Will you approve the AstraZeneca vaccine, given the dramas we've seen overseas in the last 24 hours?
Yes, it's still going through our MedSafe approval, so our independent approval process. We applied for Pfizer approval. That's the only vaccine we currently have approved for use in New Zealand. AstraZeneca and the Janssen, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine are both going through that process now. So we're letting them do that work. We have got a different vaccine program than Australia, and in part that'll be because we haven't got the domestic production that you have with AstraZeneca in New Zealand. So we essentially took a decision that logistically it would be easier for us to deal with one primary vaccine for our program rather than multiple.
And there'll be temperature checks, there'll be mask wearing. The look of this whole travel situation will be quite different to what we're used to.
It's a COVID world. None of the tools we'll be using will be new to anyone. So to an Australian coming over, you'll still have a really welcoming experience as you go through, but we will ask you to provide us contact details so we can find you if we need. Download our COVID Tracer app, really simple and easy to use. We just ask you to scan wherever you go and just wear a mask on the plane. And it's as simple as that.
OK, when will we see you here on the Goldie, or it's visiting your family with your jandals and your chili bin? When are you coming over?
Well, of course, I'm trying to get my family to come and visit here.
She's a bit busy.
I'm running a personal campaign on a couple of people. I've personally challenged Silly Barber to get over here and come and visit us. So we'll see how I go on that. I am also looking to welcome Scott Morrison. He's due here. We're due to host him for our annual dialogue. So sometime after that, I'll look to return and come and see you guys.
All right, we've got as New Zealand's #1 travel agent, we've got a special song for you this morning. We'd love you to sing along, but it may, of course, be beneath you, but we'll give it a go anyway, hey? Here's one that you might remember.
There is absolutely zero chance of me singing along to this track right now.
You know what I like about the Prime Minister of New Zealand? She has a clear message, does not take any nonsense.